Greetings, fellow YouTubers. So, are you going through a heartbreak? Is depression consuming you? Are you troubled by your poor grades or poor performance at school or work? There is nothing to worry about because these are all issues we can solve. You may wonder what the root cause may be. Well, one of the major causes is addiction. Addiction to emotion. Pleasant or unpleasant, it doesn't matter. Addiction to leisure, like television, video games, addiction to pleasure. In other words, addiction to distractions that keep us occupied and sedated from reaching our destiny and fulfilling our potential. Whether we might be occupied watching My Little Pony on the Cartoon Channel, or something about teen pregnancy on MTV, or redundant over-exaggerated news that stresses us out for no reason, we need to keep this in mind, that time is the most valuable resource. And the best question you can ask is, how can we best use it? Too often we feel lost or down, and the first thing we ask is, where do I start? And that's what I'm here for. Today I'm going to talk about where to start. Well, if I were a life coach, the first thing I would say is get in shape, work out, work on your cardio, lift weights, and eat healthy. And where you start, your beginning point, is a decision to get in shape. You need to stay committed, and after that you start to work on your cardio to ensure you build up your endurance. And cardio is necessary. Doesn't matter whether you're a heavy person or a light person. After that, you get on a program to build an idea, to form an idea. You start lifting light. That's what I would recommend. 15 reps, 3 to 4 sets. Do all this while watching your diet. A diet that is high in protein, green leafy vegetables, and lots of water. Ensure you have a journal. This will help you monitor your progress. A journal with all the exercises you can do to get familiar with the program. And as you get stronger, you can gradually increase the weights you lift. And you can also run farther. It's very important to challenge yourself. Workouts, trust me, it can do wonders for you, like how it did for me. Firstly, it builds confidence. Secondly, it restores your emotional strength and strengthens your heart. Thirdly, workouts can enhance your performance at school or work or wherever. Exercise does more than this, of course. One of my most favorite benefits of exercise is neurogenesis. What is neurogenesis, you ask? Well, it's the birth of new neurons in the hippocampus. This means better memory, better learning. It prevents addiction. Well, there was a study conducted not too long ago. It was about rats that were repeatedly exposed to drugs to the point of addiction. The researchers discovered that the repeated exposure to drugs beginning in adulthood or adolescence reduced the ability of key cells in the rat's prefrontal cortex to respond to dopamine. For those of you who don't know what dopamine is, it's the feel-good neurotransmitter responsible for reward and motivation. And those of you who don't know what prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that's responsible for higher cognitive functions. So all your planning and organizing, all those intelligent stuff takes place in your prefrontal cortex. So, sure, the repeated exposure to drugs such as these might inhibit the growth of the prefrontal cortex, but upon exercise, the rats became less susceptible to the effects of drugs. So this means exercise is life-giving, since it prevents addiction and improves pain threshold. Now think, if the mind can be less susceptible to the effects of drugs due to exercise, can the mind also be less susceptible to the effects of a heartbreak or depression with exercise? The answer is a definitive yes. It can do that and also improve your brain plasticity and overall cognitive functions. Now, I would like to talk about a personal observation that I had made when I was in college. Those were good times. We had students from all over the globe, various cultures, various mindsets, and I was surrounded by so many interesting folks I could learn from. And one of the many interesting things that I observed was I noticed there were two sorts of students. The first were students who would study up to 10 to 18 hours straight. They would just sit on that one chair and just read, and study. And the second were students who would study for 3 to 5 hours. I noticed that students who study up to 18 hours were occasionally distracted and obviously stressed. The other section of the students who would study 3 to 5 hours straight would give 100% of their efforts during that brief period. They would take breaks for workouts. These are students who would make time for family, time for friends, time for exercise. They also watch their diet. They would go kayaking or hiking during the summer. So overall, they had a good balance to life. So this was at the end of the semester, and all of us had our exams, and the test results were about to come out. And guess what? Guess who scored the best marks? Yep, that's right. A+, A, or even B+ for the balanced, healthy, efficient students. And A or B, or sometimes even a C for students who would study up to 10 to 18 hours. Now, as you expected, I had a big how in my mind. How did they do it? What is the science behind it? How is this possible? Is this even fair? These were all questions that were lingering in my mind. So here's the science behind it. When you are stressed, your brain releases cortisol. This is known as the stress hormone. Cortisol negatively affects your learning and memory, and it certainly doesn't extend your lifespan. It destroys the body and is the opposite of neurogenesis. These stressed kids had a low dopamine level and endorphin level. So we understand that dopamine is the reward or feel-good neurotransmitter, often playing a role in motivation. We understand that cortisol is a stress hormone that doesn't help with memory or enhance cognitive ability. Now, endorphins is the pain reduction neurotransmitter produced by the central nervous system that generates an almost euphoric calm feeling that is primarily common after a workout or a run. So now you see how the students who worked out managed to have their cortisol levels low, dopamine levels at bay, and endorphin levels that kept their spirits high. All this allowed them to grasp the information quicker since they were less stressed. So before I wrap up, I would like to recommend a book on the correlation between exercise and the brain. The book is called Sparks by John Ratey. I enjoyed this book and learned a lot from it. So if you like this book, I'm pretty sure you will like this book, so I recommend it. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Peace out, Ubermensch.